Welcome to Breathe, Love, Parent, the Shine On podcast. I'm your host, Rach, yoga teacher, natural mama, and passionate guide in all things nervous system and connection. This is your space for honest conversations, emotional wellbeing tools, and mindful parenting insights. Whether you're in the thick of meltdowns or seeking a moment of calm, you belong here. Let's take a breath together and begin. Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome back to Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast. I'm Rach, and today's episode feels like a really special one to record. I'm hopeful that you can hear me okay. I'm currently recording outside as my little one is asleep, and I don't really have the space to get this one out, but it felt necessary to do today. So this is my end of year reflection and a moment to pause, to breathe, and to gently close the chapter on a year that, for many of us, has been full, challenging, transformative, deeply, deeply human. This episode isn't about resolutions. It's not about hustling into the next year with a list of goals and what we're going to be achieving. It's about honoring who you've become, especially if, like me, you are not the same person you were when this year began. So as I sit here recording today, just days after Christmas, I can say with full honesty, I am not the same woman I was in January 2025. This year has changed me completely. It has stretched me, broken me open, softened me, humbled me, and rebuilt me in many ways I never could have planned for. From a health perspective alone, this has been the hardest year of my life. I'm still postpartum, I'm still breastfeeding, which I love doing and I'm very grateful to be able to still be doing. And I'm still healing from a significant, almost fatal postpartum haemorrhage. I've been navigating low iron, PMDD, chronic exhaustion and sleep deprivation, and the reality of not having slept a full night in over 15 months, which is heavy. So for any of you listening that are in the depths of sleep deprivation, I totally get you. It's when you're mothering from sleep deprivation, your motherhood experience or your parenting experience is completely different to a parent who is having a child or children sleep the whole way through the night. It is a completely different experience. And yeah, I've been doing that while raising two very young children, two wild, beautiful little souls with limited support. Now, that's not something I say for sympathy. I say it because many mothers are carrying invisible weight, and it matters that we name it. It matters that we share in order for us to be collectively supported. You know, we're not alone. You're not alone in this. So if this year has felt harder than you expected, you're not weak. You're human. One of the biggest shifts for me this year has been how I choose to live. Not just what I do, but how I do it. I made some pretty bold decisions this year. Decisions that on paper might not have made sense to everyone, but from a nervous system, values-based, family-centered lens, they were exactly right. One of those decisions was choosing to live from a place of abundance rather than fear. We made the decision to get a house down the coast, and it has been the single best decision we've made for our family ever. It has slowed us down, it has brought us together, it's brought us closer, and it has given us space to breathe, to connect, to be outside, to live in rhythm with nature rather than against it. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose ease. From a Shine On perspective, this year has been quieter than some and richer than any before. This year wasn't about expansion in the traditional business sense. It was a maintenance year because raising two young children is work, and yet so much unfolded. This podcast has been one of the most meaningful things I've created. Through Spotify alone, the podcast reached listeners I never expected. People tuning in during feeds, late nights, walks, car rides, moments of overwhelm, and moments of calm. Knowing that these conversations have landed in the ears and hearts of parents around the world, yes, around the world, which also blew my mind, is something I don't take lightly. So since returning, and yeah, so let's just hold there for a second. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has listened. So you listening now, you have no idea how much it touches my heart to know that you are tuning in and spending your time with me. I'm very aware that time is our greatest gift, and to be part of your life is just such an honor. So yeah, the podcast is, really, it's touched me deeply. And so, yes, I've done the podcast. I've also taught family yoga. So I returned to family yoga in August. And since then, I've connected with over 150 people in person: families, children, parents seeking connection, movement, and nervous system regulation in a world that often asks too much of them. Again, that matters to me deeply. This year, I also published 2 books, something I'm incredibly proud of: the Shine on Mindful Colouring book, the Family Gratitude Journal. So both of these are available on Amazon, and both were created with one intention: to support families to slow down, connect, and build emotional literacy together. And I also want to add in here too that I'm so flipping proud of myself for getting it done, but getting out of my way. And that is such a huge growth point for me. So I originally started creating both of these when I was pregnant with my first daughter. So that was 2022. And it took me, yes, 3 years, but mind you, have had 2 babies in between that time to get them out into the world. And yeah, I'm just giving myself a pat on the back because I did it. I did it. And sometimes the hardest thing is getting out of our own way. I also had the privilege of editing a book for a friend. So a quiet but meaningful creative offering that reminded me how powerful it is to support other women's voices. And I can't wait for that to be fully published. It's still in illustration. And that is by Briony Winchester, and it's called Holly Asks Her Heart, and it's such a beautiful story that, it makes me very proud to be a part of. And through the Joyful Parenting Project, I've supported many, many families in navigating regulation, connection, and presence. So not from a place of perfection, but from a place of compassion. And I'm really proud of those people. I'm really proud of myself for getting it done. But most importantly, I'm just it makes me feel, again, so grateful and proud and deeply touched when a family or, an individual reaches out and asks for my support in something. And yes, it touches me, but I'm proud of them because they have heard the call, they've trusted themselves, and again, got out of their own way to receive support, because that is huge. That is so big. And we need to, give snaps to those people for doing that. So, this year has really been about redefining success. So, it's taught me something very important. So, success doesn't always look like growth charts and milestones. Sometimes success, looks like staying present when you're exhausted, choosing rest over proving, creating community instead of chasing scale, and listening to your body instead of pushing through. So I am proud of this year, not because of how much I did, but because of how intentionally I've lived it. And I can honestly say that I have been present, so present this year in one of the most difficult, even in the most difficult times, and the most joyful. So, and a part of that too has been I've done a huge amount of inner work. So from January through to May, I was part of it's a very, very supportive women's container called Birthing in the Feminine Way. And I'll link you through, I did a podcast with Ange, who is the creatress or spiritual doula who runs this program, and it changed my life. So I was able to go into the depths of my psyche, to understand my blocks, my triggers, it really gain some tools and remember some tools and skills to help me through and to be able to get, you know, more, how do I say, deeper into myself, but also evolve in order to grow through something. So it's been a huge, huge year on that. So thanks to Ange for providing that opportunity. And I've been following and using those skills as things have come up. So I might have to do another podcast episode all on that. But yeah, it's been a big one. And I think too, often when you think about when you come to the end of the year, often it's so easy to be like, oh, remember this, remember that. Even now as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking back and I'm like, oh, I remember that. Oh, that was a really hard moment. And I had a major breakdown in June, a huge breakdown in June. That was really the low point for me. And I won't go, I'm not going to go too much into it, but it hasn't all been fantastic. And even anyone who's done any spiritual work or any kind of transformative work or, the inner work to grow and, self-develop, it is messy and it is dark at times. You're going in and you're releasing things that you didn't even know were even there. It could be generational things or past life stuff. It is oh, sometimes just so ick. So yeah, there have been some dark times in amongst all that. And so, yeah, I can bring to mind so many things that didn't go the way I thought, or those really dark days or the dark nights, or and the days roll into nights and the nights roll into days and all rolls into one, especially when you're not sleeping. But an exercise that I did, and I really encourage you to do this too. So over the past week, I have been flipping through my phone. So I went, and this was such an empowering exercise. After I was sitting and reflecting, I went back to my phone for the 1st of January and I was blown away. I went, holy dooly. I had 2 babies, babies at the start of the year. So when I'm thinking about all this other stuff, I'm like, of course it was hard. I had babies, not just young kids or young children or children in general, babies they need me. I had a 3-month-old, she definitely needed me. She was exclusively breastfed and yeah, my husband was mainly doing the nights of my toddler, and anyone who's had 2, particularly close-ish together, understands the demands and the shifts on the family when you have 2 little ones. And it's just crazy. It's crazy to go back and think about what life looked like 12 months ago. And yeah, no wonder I was tired and all these things because I had 2 babies. But then the most important point of this is when you go back and look at photos, and I definitely encourage you to do this, it's a highlights reel of all the good things, because from my experience, I don't take photos of the shitty moments. I don't take photos of myself crying. I don't take photos or videos of the meltdowns of my kids. Not because I'm denying it or anything, but just because it's just not what I do. I also rarely share online when I'm crying. I'm also very aware that that's quite triggering for some people to see that. But anyway, you don't, in my experience, I'm taking photos of the good things and the things that I want to share and remember, but we so often forget them. So I was flicking through and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We went on that walk, or I remember that day. That day she slept for 3 hours, or, their naps aligned and I remember I had such a beautiful day or time to myself. Even just those little moments. And then, it's the bigger stuff where you're like, oh yeah, I forgot we went on that weekend away. Or yeah, that's right. When we went and visited my family on the coast, that's what we did. And oh, but look how small they were. And then you see how much your kids have grown as well. And you're like, far out. They're literally growing before your eyes. So it's such a really cool exercise. And I was doing this and I went to my husband and I was like, hey, do this. I was like, think back to the year. And he's like, yeah. And he rattled off a few things. And I'm so incredibly proud of him. He's probably like the only person I know who's had like a really outstanding year. Like he's had, like all of us, he's had challenges as well, but he is just someone who constantly rises to the challenge, and he turns like hardship into opportunity, and it is so inspiring. And he's had a huge year professionally and personally as well. And I don't think he would mind me sharing, but he hasn't touched any alcohol since February. So the very start of February. So that's like 10 months now. And it's like a huge identity shift for him. He doesn't identify as someone who drinks alcohol anymore. And I'm so proud of him for doing that, because I have seen his life catapult, you know, just his growth has been exponential. What he's doing with his work, he's just been phenomenal as he's like stepping more into his power. And I just need to share that because I'm just so incredibly proud of him. And I hope he listens, and I hope he knows how grateful I am for him. And yeah, just so, so deeply proud. He's amazing and he's inspiring. And the reason I'm sharing that is when I asked him to go back through, and when he looked through his phone at the very first photo, it was 1st of January, and he also was just like, whoa, look how little they were. And I'm like, yeah, like we need to be proud of us and reflect on how much we have grown as individuals and parents. And like even just little things like how now I'm just like, all right, get in the car, girls, let's go. Like we just go and do things. Whereas like January, I still was like, no, I need someone with me like all the time. Like, just those things where you grow into your new version of mother. And yeah, anyway, so the exercise I encourage you to do is go through your phone and do it with your partner. Or if lucky enough to have a partner, or you have someone that you can have these moments with, to like go, wow, look at that. Oh, do you remember that? And you share those stories, and you just bring all that joy and abundance and back, flooding in your memories, and your cells remember that too. And, if your kids are older, do it with them. I've done it with the girls. Like I've shown them photos and, oh yeah, mom. But they just like hearing stories. They love hearing stories about it. They love, yeah, like, oh, and you did this and you did that. So I encourage you to do it with your kids as well. It's such a cool way to like reflect on the year. So yeah, a reflection for you. So do the photo thing. But as we stand on the edge of a new year, I want to offer you this reflection. So take a moment and ask yourself, who was I at the start of this year? Who am I now? What did I survive? What did I soften into? What am I no longer willing to carry forward? You don't need to rush these answers. You can even go back and repeat this part of the podcast. Take a few breaths, even light a candle, settle into it, really journal it, whatever flows naturally to you. Even if you're driving, you can just even pause and ponder. I want you to notice. So just notice. Notice how your body responds to the questions. Notice what answers come up immediately. And then ask again, just to see what else is deeper there, what's laying there. And so growth doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers through resilience, boundaries, and quiet courage. And that's what has happened when I've gone back and looked at the year through photos. So let's take a breath. Inhale and exhale. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders, and let's look ahead. So as for what's next, I don't have it all mapped out, and that is so exciting. Like I'm actually, for the first time in my life, that feels safe. I'm excited, I'm curious, I'm open, I'm choosing to trust the rhythm of my life and the season I'm in. And if there's one thing I hope you can take from this episode, it's this. You don't need to become someone new next year. You just need to keep honoring who you're becoming. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, sharing, reflecting, and growing alongside me. This podcast, this community, this year, it's meant more than I can put into words. And even coming up with this podcast episode today, I was like struggling to articulate. So I hope I've got it out there. I do next year hope that I can put up some video recordings. My mother-in-law actually brought me a little like vlogging thing, which I'm so excited for. The truth is, I often record like just when I can, right? I don't have like a set recording time so maybe that will be something I work on next year, but I'm often like currently at the moment I'm in like my gym gear because as soon as I finish recording, I'm going to do a little workout if my little one's still asleep. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. But you know what? It doesn't matter what I look like. I don't know if it does. I guess that comes down to being raw with Rach, doesn't it? Anyway, a bit more reflection from me. So anyway, however this year has landed for you, may you close it with compassion. May you close it with self-love. You've done an amazing job to get here. You're incredible. You've got this. And may next year bring more love and compassion and joy and ease. So until next time, breathe, laugh, be present. Thank you for joining me on Breathe, Laugh, Parent. If this episode brought you a moment of calm or connection, please share it with a fellow mama. Subscribe on your favourite platform or visit shineom.com.au/podcast for more. Until next time, keep breathing, laughing, and parenting with heart. The information shared on Breathe, Laugh, Parent, the Shine On podcast is for general educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not medical, therapeutic, or professional advice and should not be relied on as such. Always consult a qualified health or parenting professional for support tailored to your individual needs. Shine On and its guests disclaim any liability for decisions made based on this content.